Welcome back to another Crypto in a Minute Weekly by Satoshi Economy. Today what we're going to do is a replay of a December 31st, 2019 entitled 2019 Crypto in Review by Satoshi Economy. So here you go. Hope you like it. Thank you.
Welcome back to Satoshi Economy, honest global crypto news and info, where the message is more important than the messenger. Today is December 31st, 2019 Crypto in Review. I'm very excited about this. I just got out of the coffee shop. I'm on vacation. So this is a little bit impromptu, but I'm going to get this done. I think you're going to like it. Let me know in the show notes. I know I like it. I'm excited about it. I'm going to start it out with I think is the best joke that I heard during 2019. I'm going to mention what I think is the most noteworthy. And just so you know, this is not by any means a complete list. If you have some things that you think that I missed, please, make comments on that. I'd be interested to know what you think. And then I'm going to wrap it up with mention of my most watched YouTube videographers, my favorite YouTubers. I got 5 financial experts that I like, and then also personalities I'll mention for your perusal. But one of the best jokes I heard, it was, I'm going to tell it in first person. So yeah, someone walked up to me the other day and they said, "Hey, aren't you the guy who made $1 million buying Bitcoin in Paris?" Well, yes I am, but it wasn't in Paris, it was in Zurich. And it wasn't Bitcoin, it was Bitcoin Satoshi's vision. And it wasn't $1 million, it was more like 100,000. And it wasn't me, it was my brother. And it wasn't buying, it was selling. And he didn't make it, he lost. I really got my funny bones, so I hope you like that. In starting the video here, I'm just going to talk a little bit, just generally speaking, and just want to remind you, this isn't 100% of everything that's the most important. It's just what I came up with during my preparation here. But they said that the stock market grew 30% during 2019. We're at the tail end of boomers in the workforce, which means there's about $68 trillion that is going to be going into the hands of millennials. So we have to ask, what are they going to spend it on? What are they going to invest it in? And after World War II, we saw what boomers invested in. And I think one big thing that the millennials are going to spend and invest their money on is in emerging technology, cryptocurrencies, digital technologies, gaming, just to name a few. There was a declining amount of dollar reserves in the central banks, and there was a rising amount of gold reserves in the central banks by far. They said some reports I saw showed a record rate at which the central banks were buying up gold, and we've got to ask why. And I think it's because they're hedging their bets, and they really see that there's a currency crisis, and they're going back to something that has held value for 5,000 years. During 2019, there was about 9,300 retail stores that closed, namely mostly Walgreens, Kmart, and Sears. The Federal Reserve dropped interest rates for the first time since Bitcoin was launched in 2009. They dropped interest rates 3 times during the year, and the federal funds rate right now is at about 1.5 to 1.75%. Throughout the year, there was very much newsworthy events with the negative yielding bond market. It hit a high of 17 trillion in August, and by year's end now they say it's at about 11.2 trillion of negative yielding bonds. I like looking at billionaire lists. At year's end, Bezos is at 115 billion. Gates 112, so Bezos just edged out Gates by the end of the year. Bernard Arnault, the Frenchman, is at 106, so we have 3 centibillionaires. Buffett came in at 89, and Zuck is at about 78 billion. He gained a lot throughout the year. Of the billionaires, it looks like about 50% of them are in either finance and investments, tech, or real estate. Finance and investments was about 23.5%, tech billionaires about 17.5%, and real estate billionaires at about 8.5%. Very interestingly, the Walmart empire, they had 3 of the heirs were at about 54 billion. I think they came in at 16, 17, and 18th. But you lump that all together, it's about 162 billion. I thought there was another one in there, but anyway, 3 of them all together come to 162 billion. This was a year that saw the first sitting president mention Bitcoin. Trump tweeted on the July 11th, and really, when you think about it, it really does give Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies some credibility. I'm going to quote what he said. He said, "I am not a fan of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, which are not money, and whose value is highly volatile and based on thin air." A few days later, Steve Mnuchin came out with a comment, and I like repeating this because it is extremely disingenuous and very, very deceiving. But he came out on July 15th and he said, I think to a large extent, these cryptocurrencies have been dominated by illicit activity and speculation. So in response to that, Chainalysis came out with a report that showed 800 to 1 that the dollar, when you look on the internet and verifiable blockchain transactions, that it looks like it's probably likely that for every Bitcoin or cryptocurrency that's used for money laundering or illicit activity, there's 800 in dollars. The Libra white paper came out in June. I think this is the single most noteworthy event simply because of the billions and the numbers. Zuck claims that they have 2.8 billion subscribers between Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp. I think it's very, very much less than that. It's probably less than 2. He obviously is inflating, but he claims that there's over 2 billion monthly subscribers. But even if 100 million or 200 million of those use the Libra coin, if it ever gets off the ground, they would practically instantaneously become the largest bank on earth. So it's really something to watch. Very interestingly, China, through the DCEP, that's DCEP, they say they're going to launch this in 2020. They will be doing some beta testing, they say, in Q1 2020. I don't think that the DCEP may not even launch fully by the end of 2020, but we'll see. They, in a public announcement, mentioned Libra as the reason why they're stoked and speeding up their the launch of the DCEP. Excuse me. So the 23rd of September, BAKKT came out and it just bombed. They had, on that day, 2 daily contracts signed. During 2018, BAKKT was one of the most noteworthy projects of note. People were following it the most, and it just shows that traditional financiers really have cold feet still with the digital, currencies and economy. And they, even though I know that they do invest in Bitcoin, but in the futures markets now, they're looking for much more regulatory clarity, I think. Since its inception, it has ramped up quite a bit, though. Plus Token scammed out of China. They reportedly took off with about $2.5 billion worth of their investors' money. Bitcoin was sluggish during the last 60 days of 2019, but the its lowest low of 2018 was still higher than the lowest low of, its lowest low of 2019 was about 3,400 or thereabouts, which is still higher than the lowest low of 2018. So going into 2020, we're going to be at about 7,250, which is what it's at today. Near year's end, YouTube censored a lot of videos Christmas Eve, and cryptocurrency YouTubers really complained a lot. They weren't the only ones who were being censored, but it was very ill-timed, I think. They later claimed that it was a mistake. Globally, it's hard to avoid hearing news of all of the protests that are going on. I did a quick search, and there's protests going on in. I really want this list here. Forgot where I put it, but there's a list. Well, I'll try to just say it off the top of my head here. Then there's a lot of protests going on in France, Hong Kong, of course, Ecuador, Bolivia, Sudan, Lebanon, Turkey, India. Here we go. Bolivia, Lebanon, Algeria, Georgia, Mexico, Turkey, Brazil, Iraq, Sudan. And the common theme seems to be that they are angry with the elites. The Bitcoin halving will occur on May 14th, 2020. The reward for each block that's mined presently is 12.5. It'll be cut in half and it'll be 6.25, which means in a little over 4 years, the block reward will diminish 75%. It's going to go from 12.5 down to 3.125 by May of 2024. Right now, there's 18.1 Bitcoins mined. That's 86.4% of all the Bitcoins that will ever be mined. And Bitcoin right now is the 8th largest currency on Earth. That looks like most or all of it. I'm going to go into just mentioning the YouTubers that I found myself watching the most. And I suggest they're good ones for you to watch too. My favorite is TMI, or The Modern Investor. He's never mentioned his name or shown his face, but he's so immersed, he's so steady every single day practically, if not every day. Even on the weekends, he has a report anywhere from 15 minutes to 30 minutes. One of them was almost an hour, but it's generally 15 minutes to 30 minutes. And he comments, and I appreciate his comments because they're especially valuable to me since he is immersed in it every single day. They have a lot of value for me. I found myself watching Ivan on Tech, also Max Kaiser. All of his videos are 25 minutes. He has a discussion with his wife, and then the other half he has a interview with a financial analyst of some sort. I really like the Crypto Lark. He's very steady, and his comments are credible, and he's a Bitcoin and cryptocurrency stalwart. You can really trust his most or all of his information. He has a slant for trading. He's really good at that. And one of my favorites is Gerald Celente. His motto or branding is history before it happens. I really like that. He's got a jaded edge against the financial world as a whole. You got to see it to see what I mean. The number one best news one on YouTube that I found, it's been there for a while, but it's Investors Archive. It's one of the most robust financial information websites on billionaires, cryptos, projects. It's really worth checking out. Financial experts I followed a lot were Dan Pena, Gary V, Patrick Bet-David, Chris Dunn, and Jim Rickards. I didn't used to think I would be following Jim Rickards, but he just continues to show a lot of intellect and intelligence and credibility and excellence, really. Of course, personalities, you all probably know all of these, but Andreas Antonopoulos, Trace Mayer, he's coming out with the January 3rd event. Not your code, not your Bitcoins, not your wallet. What's the word I'm trying to come up with? You know what I mean. So, not your keys, not your Bitcoin. A little distracted here. Also, Vitalik, of course. Also Satoshi Nakamoto. Mike Maloney, I put on there. Mike Maloney with the Hidden Secrets of Money. Alex Mashinsky, found very interesting as a crypto personality. He has a lot to do with VoIP, Voice over Internet Protocol. He has a very noteworthy project having to do with the Celsius network. One of my personal favorites is James Corbett of the Corbett Report. So I'm going to wrap it up there. I hope you enjoyed the information. Please check out the show notes. I'll stack it up a little bit later with really great links. I really hope you have a very good, happy New Year 2020. Please like and subscribe, of course. Smash that love button there. I'll appreciate it so others can find this information as well. And just one thing that I find myself saying a lot is get out, get some fresh air, loosen up a little bit. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. This isn't financial advice. It's just my opinion. But the emerging technology of digital currency is quite emerging, quite something to consider putting a portion of your wealth into. So with that, hashtag love all, serve others. Thank you very much for your attention. Please check out thanks for checking out my YouTube channel. Until next time, peace.